Welcome to Open Exchange Studio.
Hello, my name is Kaifi Shaheen. I will be speaking with Wali Alam Shaheen, who was born on January 11th, 1938, in Ghazipur, Bihar, India. He is an award winning Urdu poet whose work has shaped modern Urdu literature for over 7 decades. A trained statistician who later settled in Canada in 1973, he built a distinguished career in academia industry and the Canadian government while continuing to write acclaimed collections of ghazals and nazms, including Regesaz, Benishan, and many other. Known for his distinctive style and linguistic innovation, in his poetry explores themes of memory, displacement, nature, and human experience, earning him honors such as the Altaf Hussain Hali World Urdu Award and the Mir Award. Now, Abu, I know that, by the way, just um, full transparency, this is my dad. I call him Abu, but he is Wali Alam Shaheen. So, Abu, why don't you say a few things as well?
About myself, I guess you have said enough about me and about my books, about type of poetry that I write. And not only that, you also mentioned some awards. Awards have been many. Well, I have lost count of them, and there are so many in different ways. I have received appreciation from the serious readers of the literature, and thank you very much for Effie for saying those words that encourage me. Such words have encouraged me all along my life, where people appreciate and mention a few things, a few qualities in my writing that have been highlighted by critics of Urdu literature as well as readers uh, throughout the world, wherever Urdu uh, is spoken or wherever Urdu is regarded as a language.
So I'm going to start off by asking a few questions. You were born in Ghazipur village, Munger district, Bihar in 1938, as I mentioned earlier. How did your rural upbringing and early environment in Bihar shape your sensibility as a poet?
Now, but I grew up in a family where there were hardly any books around in the house. No books around. Whatever I learned in the primary school was through elementary books. There were some poems there for children, but I had my own vision of writing. So I would just climb on a tree and sing about my school in poetry. And I would like, मेरा स्कूल चमकता cham cham cham,
I remember you
मेरा
saying
नाम
that.
वली आलम, like these kind of things, rhyming words. I would do that on my own. And my the surround environment that I was living in was not very conducive to writing any poetry or doing any kind of literary work. And there were no encouragement also of any sort, except that I was not a bad student. Actually, and even in elementary grades, I was always the top student. So I got some pat on the back by my teachers that I was a good student. I had a very good handwriting and all that, and they appreciated. So that was all, and people in the village, somehow or other, the word got around that I was not an ordinary child. Some elderly people will come to me and they will rub their forehead against mine, that my knowledge would pass on to them. They were grown up people, about 40ish, 50ish people, and they would rub their forehead with mine. So these things happened, and that is all I remember. And after that, for me, it was a life of a struggle, because my family lost a lot during the war. during the riots in my village. My mother was killed, my brother was killed, and the business was all gone. So it was a tough life. But I managed. I even throughout my career, student life, I used to teach other students and earn some money, and that is how I was living. And I didn't have any course books. I had only my notebooks. That's all. I lived by my notebooks. And in the morning, I would go to teach students, uh, go to college, come back, and then again go to teach students, come back. So for myself, there was no time.
Okay.
But I managed to do well. And actually, I would say with the limitations I had, I did very well. I topped in the Master of Science examination in MSc in the University of Bihar. And after that, right away, I received the offer of a lecturership. I became a lecturer at a university college. And then I was comfortable with, because I'm now receiving money for my teaching at a college. So that was a good sum of amount, a lecturer's salary. And from then onwards, it was a life that was a little more comfortable, and I was able to even buy some books. And
Okay, thank
that's
you
how it was. That was
thank
the early
early years.
early years of my life, and which was I had tough time, I should say.
Now, you began writing poetry at a very young age, but it gained momentum around 1955. What sparked that serious commitment to poetry during your late teens?
During my what?
Late teens.
Okay, means this is something that comes with you. Either you have it or you don't have it. Poetry writing, it is sort of a gift. You cannot become a poet just by studying it. You can learn the craft. You can say a few words in meter, but poetry that comes, real poetry, it is the gift that you are given by. It is either in your genes or whatever you can say. It is there. So I had that gift, but having a gift alone is not enough. You have to nurture it and you have to practice it. What I did was I always tried to find some time to do my poetry as well, apart from my regular studies. So it, and what gave me momentum was that I got published all the time in very good journals. Not only that, sometimes I got paid for that when it was even at 20 rupees at that time was a big sum. And I would get that for a poem of mine, and it would be enough for a month of living. So my poetry helped me in that way also. That it sustained me mentally, physically, and it brought me also closer to people who matter in the field of poetry. People just started noticing me. And as early as the age of 20, 22, I got invited to big gatherings in other cities. So that was not easy. People don't do that usually. But I was taken notice of at the age of 20, 21 by big people who were renowned for their own work. So that was the kind of momentum or encouragement that gave me uh, some, I should say, strength and patience to carry out the calling. I should say it is now a calling for me. Yeah. And I have been doing it all the time. I know, yeah, Ezra Pound is an American poet, very famous poet. He said, he wrote a poem. He said that, "Oh God, oh Venus, why did you give me this affliction of writing verse? You could have given me a tobacco shop, and then I would have come home and feel comfortable and laugh. And this is a 24-hour affliction with me, and has stayed with me. Why did you do that?" He complained to God. And this happens to all the creators, all the poetry creators, or all the artistic creators, even if they are a musician or painters, writers, philosophers, those whoever they are. This affliction, if you call it affliction, if it stays with them, they feel the torture, but at the same time they feel the relief that it gives to them.
So, just a little bit about your education. You have an advanced degree in statistics, both from University of Bihar and Carleton University in Canada. How did your scientific and analytical background influence your poetic style or approach to language?
Like, this is my belief that even if you study something which is not related to you completely, even then you can apply the logic and the reasoning that is provided by learning a craft or a subject. You can apply that knowledge anywhere in any field, and that is how I did. Math, I think I consider math, it is, you have to be a very imaginative person to do math. And I have found that doing math and doing poetry for me were not too different. They were in two directions, but at some point they converge at one point. And there are examples like Omar Khayyam. He is known as a poet. He has been translated all over the world by Fitzgerald and other poets, and is known for his poetry. He was a Persian poet. But what people don't know is that he was a great mathematician. His books on mathematics were taught around all the universities in Europe at that time. It was translated into Greek and Latin, and it was translated. Basically, he was a poet, but he was a great mathematician at the same time. Even you heard Einstein, he was very good in music. He would teach music to people. And the way he taught music to other students was step by step. He knew how the progress is made in a certain field. So what I mean to say that poetry and math or science, for me, I studied physics and chemistry as well. Science, math, and poetry, to me, they all have helped me to relate to my life and work in a way that has benefited me on a large scale. And I don't think that there has been any impediment of any kind that I encountered because of my carrying out interest in.
Now, your career took you from teaching in Bhagalpur to government roles in Pakistan, including Adamji jute mills, and then to a long career with the Canadian government until your retirement as a policy advisor. How did these diverse professional experience across three countries affect your poetry?
Yeah, like this is working in different environments, and I had different types of experience too. While I was a lecturer, I was a lecturer in Bhagalpur for 4 years, and I was very young when I was hired as a lecturer. I did my first MSc at the age of 20, and I was hired a lecturer. My students were older than I was, so they didn't take me very seriously in the beginning. But finally, they accepted me that I knew my subject thoroughly well, and I was the topper in the university, and I knew my subjects very well, and the students and the professors and the whole institution respected me for whatever I was, of my knowledge of the subject, and even my being very young at the institution. But they thought that I was not a dumb person in an institution instituted by some uh, people who have resources. No, they knew that I was there on the basis of my merit, and not only that. And then I went to Dhaka, where I remained for 7 years, and there I joined the government of Pakistan at that time, Pakistan Tea Board, as a statistician. The statistics remained with me. I was a lecturer, but then I became the how you apply your knowledge to actual problems. So I was the head of the statistics department of Pakistan Tea Board, where I looked after all the statistical data of the government of Pakistan at that time, and the data of on tea industry and trade for the entire world actually, although we were concerned with only with the tea production in the country, but just being associated with a country doesn't leave you with that country alone. You have to have a wider perspective of I should say an international uh, perspective in tea industry and trade, where I had to actually gather all these statistics from international committees, tea committees, and all that. Actually, my first book really is a book on statistics on tea, which was published from government of Pakistan, which is strange. But my first book is statistics on tea, and it was published by government of Pakistan. And and in government publications don't carry your name, just the government of certain country, but they allowed me to write a preface under my name, and my name is there as an author of that book. Those are mostly data, but it was a great. It helped to me that wherever I went for interview, I could produce that I have a book, and people would. And the next, my employer was the largest industrial group. They saw that this guy is a very young guy and he has already a book to his credit. It is it helped me in getting the job. And then I was there, head of the statistics department. Theirs was the largest jute mills in the world, 22,000 workers under one canopy, and they were equipped with the most modern uh, machines of jute industry, and I was looking after the research side, statistics and research. So it was and because of that, I could meet with people from different government departments, and not only on the provincial basis, but on the wide country basis. Means people from Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, they also came to see me and get the data for jute industry and trade. I was the person who was preparing the monthly report for publication in all the English newspapers of the country. That was the press release was all done by me. So these things, but at the same time, I was also doing my poetry, and my poetry was getting published. My first book was published while I was in Dhaka, and it was reviewed very favorably by the critics of the time, and it is still cited, still after more than 60 years, it is still being cited as one of the important books of poetry in that country.
And I believe also the Canadian government, you've got your name in Gazette. You've also been
Yeah,
your
in
work
Canada, that I'm talking up to the in Canada. Yes, I came here, and I I have that. I always try to mingle with writers of different groups. I'm not limited to Urdu. I knew lots of people writing in English, even in French and other languages, Punjabi, Bengali, and all that. And I didn't only mix with them. I knew what they were writing, and I could discuss their matters with them. And in Canada, yes, my name is in the Canadian Encyclopedia. I contributed to the Canadian Encyclopedia, writing essays for them to be included in the encyclopedia. And that was a great honor for me, being an Urdu writer, being asked to write for Canadian Encyclopedia and other. And my there are even government of Canada wanted to recognize me in different ways. Like they had that George Lilly come from Toronto to exclusively take my photographs. There were lots of photographs around Ottawa, but they wanted him to come here. And he was an old guy with a big truck with full of equipments. And when he went right in the morning at uh, uh, National Gallery of Canada, it was closed. There were 10 security guards following me and him wherever we went. So we ended up in the Canadian section in the group of 7 photo painters of Canada. And there he took only 2 photographs of mine, and it took about 3 hours. And those were published in government publications and all that. And there are many ways in which the government also recognized my work. And I have also contributed to the radio, television programs, and all that.
And now, your first collection, Reggae Saz, was published in 1967 under the Takhallus Shaheen Ghazipuri. How did your pen name evolve over time?
Now it was customary for writers in those days to add the name of their place of birth, like Lahori, Delhi, Kanpuri, Muradabadi. The place, your name and the place are there together. Like even Iqbal, the great poet, he was called Iqbal Lahori. Ghalib, the great poet, he was called Ghalib Dehlvi, right? Because he belonged to Delhi. So at that time, I was very young. I didn't know much about those things, but I know I am from Ghazipur, so I adopted my pen name as Shaheen, then added Ghazipuri
Okay.
to that. As a you always added prefix or postfix to your name, and that is what I did. It was Shaheen Ghazipuri. I kept it for a while until the publication of my first book, and then people got a bit confused because Ghazipur is a name of not only one city, there are more than 3. And people would sometimes attribute me to some other place while writing about me. I said it's not good, so I
So
just
that's why
dropped that
makes sense.
nomenclature and I went for just Shaheen. Or now the editors and others, they write my full name, but I go by one name,
Makes
mostly
sense.
just Shaheen. In Urdu literature, who has these many books or writings
Okay.
to his credit. So all my books, except first one, have been published under the one word name, Shaheen.
Okay. You have authored multiple collections, including Benishan, Khula Darwaza, Shabnasheen, and others, plus the bilingual dreams and destinations. Which of your books hold the most personal significance for you and why?
I, it is like there is no book that I would say that this is the most important book to me, or I like it most. Actually, I like all of my books because I know that those what has gone into it. It is like a mother whose children are the best in the world, and so are my books to me. And ideas are like that. Ideas are like children. Your own are the best and wonderful. So I I like all my books, and they have all been written about. They have all some individual qualities about them, which have been pointed out by different critics all over the world, wherever my books are read. And so, to be specific, but the first after Ragesa, the second book, Benichan, it got a lot of attention from everywhere. Attention. Maybe it came after about 8 or 10 years after the first book. That may be the reason, but the poetry there is of a different kind. When I had already come to Canada and I had encountered a different culture, a different setup of uh, things, and we had to
Different
you had to
climate, for sure.
adjust to a new environment, adjust to a new language, uh, new living and new qualities and all that, new seasons, different kind of seasons and all that. So it was completely a different world. So you have a new, altogether a set of new experiences. And if you absorb those experiences, if you make it part of your life in a creative way, by creative me, I mean even your imagination is, even if you have imagination, creative imagination, that imagination has to be trained. A very Canadian critic, very well known all over the world, whose name is Northrop Frye. He has used the term trained imagination, educated imagination. So even your imagination that you have, that has to be educated. I try to educate my imagination in a fashion that it could become a new reality. You have some reality, but you create a new reality that is as important as the original reality. That is my belief, and that is how I work.
So just another question. I think if you were to reflect and maybe give some advice, if you could share one piece of advice with young Urdu poets starting today, particularly those in the diaspora, what would that be?
Now, but for young, the first thing is that they have to read. Reading. Reading maketh the full man, as Francis Bacon has said. And if you don't read, you won't become a good poet or anything like that. You have to read all the classics and classic literature that has existed before. You even have to memorize some of it, poetry. And then there was a professor, a university professor, whenever in every new session at the college, he would say to his students, you will unlearn here whatever you have learned, and you will learn here what you have unlearned. So the first thing is that what you have read, you have to forget about it. Forget it all means the, a classic influences you a lot, but you have to get rid of that influence if you have to make your own voice heard. In order to have your own voice amidst a multitude of voices, it is not good to be influenced by other voices. You have to create your own voice, your own trademark, and that is very important. So any new poet or writer worth his salt would should be able to study well, read, absorb, meet people, uh, acquire new experiences, and keep on writing almost every day, I should say, so that he doesn't lose touch with the gift that he has been given by God or your creator. And unless you practice what is there, what you have, you would be losing it. So, as they say, use it or lose it. So, if you don't use it, you will lose your gift. And for the young reader, it is important to read, solve, and read and read and write. Of course, they will. After reading, you write. What role reading plays is that reading gives you enough food for thought, and from there you make your own recipe. That's how it is. That's how I feel.
So I'll conclude this session, and I'd like to thank Wali Alam Shaheen for sharing his thoughts and ideas and the experiences that he has had throughout his young life so far. And we look forward to having more sessions which will go into details of the various books that he's published. And what I'll try to do is actually in some of the sessions have him actually recite some of his poetry. All right, Abu, thank you again, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you very much.